everyone, and welcome to the May box for 2024. I just want to say thank you guys for showing so much grace to me during this difficult time. But I have a really fun, great project for you guys. So I hope you can, get together. I know it's close to Mother's Day, but it would be the perfect Mother's Day project. So what we're going to do is we have these two candle stands, and I am going to show you how in this video we're just going to do the flowers, and then there'll be a second video that shows you how to do the base type things and to put everything together. Okay, all right, so let's get started because this is going to be a long one. I'm going to take my flowers apart so I can make sure I paint them just like this so that you guys can see. It's a lot of different flowers. So now I did not glue mine. I do think I'm going to, though. I'm going to wait till after I did the video, but gluing them would help. Gluing your bases together, I think, give a little more strength for the flowers. So you have two water brushes in your kit. These are used for doing watercolor. We're going to do watercolor with acrylic paint this time. I played around with getting you guys watercolors, but in order to get enough for this palette, it just kind of didn't fit the budget of the box. So that's why we're doing it this way, but you'll have the two water brushes. And if you wanted to, you can order, like I ordered these on Amazon. And I'll show you how to use them, just so you know, and then we'll go to the acrylic. So you're just gonna squeeze your brush a little bit and get some water flowing, okay? What you would do is you would just rub in the middle of the paint. And then it's as easy as that. These we don't need, but here's an example. So you would just, now watercolor you do have to, though, watercolor isn't perfect. It's very artistic, I guess, or I can't think of the word, but it kind of has a mind of its own, and you have to let it be. You have to let it dry and then see how it looks and then add to it if you need to. So that's how you use the actual watercolors. If you wanted to purchase those separately, you could absolutely use those on this kit if you wanted to do, but I couldn't get a big enough color palette in order to make it feasible for this kit. So you have two brushes, they're both round tip, one's bigger than the other, just for doing more detail or the bigger sets. You fill them by unscrewing them right here, and they go the opposite way. So like most kids would do, like righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, it's the opposite. I guess so that you don't accidentally unscrew them. You would just fill it with water. I just take like my little cup and just fill it with water. And you don't have to fill them too often, it works. I use water to rinse them, a quarter cup though, to kind of keep me from having to, see, I'm trying to screw it the wrong way. And they sell them in all different kinds. Like I think this is a flat one. So you get all different kinds of them. I just thought it was a fun new technique and a little something new to add to your toolbox. This month we have foil instead of the styrofoam trays I give you. And the reason is it kind of kept the paint wetter. It worked a little bit better. All right, let's start off with our branches. We're gonna use the Arbor Green. This one isn't open all the way. Looks like I had a little paint explosion there. And you're gonna need like barely any paint because we're gonna water it down. And please, artistic freedom, use what you like. You know, you could do this in a whole different color set. I put extra flowers in there. You can position them different. I'm just gonna show you how I did it, okay? So I'm gonna get my brush really wet and I'm get a little puddle of water there. I'm gonna pick up some of this paint and I'm gonna kind of mix it into the water. Basically, I'm just watering down my paint, and I'm gonna kind of work with it a minute till it all blends together and doesn't look separated anymore, okay? Now I have that on my brush, and you're gonna use a really wet brush. I know we usually use a tiny bit of paint, but on this you want a wet brush. Is that a good, oops, sorry.
Sorry.
Is that a good angle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're just getting all of our stems. And if they're not as dark as you want, You can always go back. Sorry if you hear the baby crying. My husband's putting her down for a nap. I'm still getting used to scheduling around the kids. And everybody's sick, so all the kids are sick. So we're just... And see how I'm not like real precise? It'll get over a little bit, but that's okay. Watercolor, it just, I promise you, it turns out looking great. I'm a perfectionist, so I had a hard time with it at first. I'm gonna get some more paint. And I haven't had to squeeze and add any water because I have a lot of water in my paint itself. And if you want it darker, just let it dry for a minute and come back and do another coat. It's hard to get it really dark sometimes on your first coat. I really liked the wildflowers. I have a sunflower one too, but I liked the wildflowers the best. And I'm not a garden person, so I tried to paint them like the natural wildflowers would be, but I'm not sure I got all the colors right. Okay, these little things are leaves, so we're gonna paint these. And now some of these I did go back and like make darker or lighter or add a little bit of yellow to it. But I started with this green base on all of them first. Okay. What else is green? And I know this is going to be a long one, so that's why we did it in the 2 parts. Paint. Now that Ashton started school, up here he brought his germs home to all of us. I've been taking vitamins galore to try not to get sick, but the kids are all sick and I'm trying to hold it off. Ashton's better. He went back to school today. All right, so now, so I'm almost out of paint. So I'm gonna get my brush, and my brush is kind of starting to get a little bit dry. So I'm just squeezing right here is how the water comes out, okay? And squeeze, squeeze gently, see how much comes out, and then you can adjust that. I'm just gonna get some more paint and water it down. But see how it kind of on the foil, it doesn't soak in. There we go. And it will come up your brush way more than it normally does with regular paint. I know with regular paint, you're trying to keep it at the tip, but this is common. This is how it will look. It kind of sucks it back, wicks it back up. It's just the kind of brushes they are. If you didn't like this color green, you could add a little bit of the brown. You could add a little bit of the yellow. If you wanted all the stems to be different, you could absolutely do that by just changing your shading and color, your colors that you're using. We did a lot of color mixing for this. Sometimes I just don't have that same color in a lighter shade, so I did some other stuff to try to get it all where I wanted it to be. Oops, looks like I broke this one. This one I did brown. When you go to take your flowers out of your baggies, I suggest like cutting down the sides and opening it instead of trying to pull them out. It'll help save your flowers. They are pretty fragile. I packaged them the best I kind of could for you guys. And I think they'll be okay. If anything breaks or you have problems with any of them, just let me know. I'll happily replace them. It's hard to paint these little tiny stems. I'm used to using the sponge. This whole thing is green. This whole thing is green. All right, I'm gonna put these aside. I don't think you guys need to watch me paint green over and over again. And we're gonna do a video on putting them together. This long piece is a stem. You need to paint it green. And those don't have any flowers on them. So these are all just green. These are just painted green, just greenery for the background. Okay. Some more leaves. Let's get the rest of the stems. I got it, Mom. Because it's shaking. You got it? Why don't you set it up so you can just show it, because we're just painting green right now. It's okay. I'm sorry. Mom's starting to get sick from the kids, so she has a cough. We thought we were good for the video. And so it kind of is like how when we do the staining, like how when we make our paint a stain by using baby wipes. It's kind of similar to that. It's that watercolor effect. You see the wood grain. And so depending on the color of wood, this is all maple, but it varies in color. It'll kind of depend on the color you're getting out of it. But I love that part of it. But see how I'm leaving some water like pooling on there, some wet, and I'm just kind of moving it around and then leaving it and allowing it to dry. Okay, I'm gonna do this climbing flower. Now I did this climbing flower green with little white flowers. I think it would look really cute too if you did it with like a burgundy color or a brown and just so the whole thing like a more of a stem piece. But we'll go ahead and paint it the way I did it on the original. So I'm just going down the stems and just avoiding the flowers as much as I can. That's the only color that was kind of hard to do with watercolor was the white. So the white flowers, I did use a water brush, but I didn't water it down as much. I had to go over it a couple times. So the white's a little hard to get the whitewash look just by using the paint. Minwax does make a water-based stain that we've used before in the kits that we put in those little bottles. And I did order a webcam and I have a stand and all that, so we should be getting better. This is still my iPhone because I have not had time to set it up, but it's all here. So as soon as I get time, we'll switch over to a webcam and I think it'll give you guys a better quality video. Okay. Now we will move on to some flowers. See how I'm coming back over it though to kind of give it a little bit darker. And these ones you just have to be really careful with. They're pretty fragile. Okay, so now I'm gonna rinse out my brush and I'll grab it over here. So I'm gonna go ahead and rinse out my brush just like I normally would in the water, even though I have water in my brush. At first I was just producing water to rinse it, but then you're constantly having to fill your brush. So I suggest getting an actual water cup and rinsing it out. All right, let's paint us some flowers here. Okay, so now these little cone flowers are my absolute favorite flower. I just love the look of them. So I did the Stolen Kiss, which is a darker red, to do the little center part. I'm like running out of this color. So I'm getting it right out of the bottle. So you could see that it takes hardly any paint. Okay, let's water that down a little bit. Now I will warn you, when you push this and the water's coming out, when you let go, it does suck up a tiny bit. So make sure you lift up off of your paint because it will suck paint up into it, which is fine. You can rinse it out, but obviously you don't want it doing that because you want it in your color. So I'm just carefully kind of pushing myself up to that scored line. And like I said, these won't be as perfect as like when you're painting with acrylic paint. It's more, the watercolor takes its own little journey. Okay, what else is that color? There is something else. This little, I'm not sure what this is, this little bud is this color. Sorry. My granddaughter is a yeller and does not want to take naps. Which is why it's taking me so long to get the videos done for you guys. Because she just doesn't want to give up the ghost. Okay, so now this flower, I did do 2 different colors. Let me see if I have another one. I painted them 2 different ways. So one of them I painted with the Stolen Kiss. Get some more paint and a little bit more water in my brush. My brush was getting dry. But like these, it doesn't really get in the grooves like you would have to worry about normally with the acrylic paint. So you can kind of just paint over that. I did get some over the center, but it's okay. It's going to be brown, so it should cover it up. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I painted that one with the Stolen Kiss, and we'll come back and do the detail on it. And then this one I painted orange. Okay, so I'm gonna rinse my brush. And now we're gonna go to the really light pink. It almost reminds me of like a ballet slipper pink. So literally, like, that's all the paint that I'm using. So you'll have paint to paint lots of flowers. Just get it watered down a little bit there. And the nice thing about this, when you're watering it down, you can water it down as much or as little as you would like. You have that control over it. So if you want it to be more transparent or opaque, you can adjust that with how much water you add to it. The lighter colors are a little bit harder to see, so I add a little less water to those. The darker colors, you can see no problem. Okay. So we'll let that dry, and if we want a little bit more pink on there, you can go back over it. Another flower that was pink is this beautiful little thing right here. So like dainty, and I don't know the name of it. I had to pull up wildflower pictures on some of these to get like what color they should be. I tried to make it look very wildflower-ish. That is my favorite flower. I think more than roses or any of that stuff. I just love wildflowers. So pretty. Okay, so there's that one. See how it's fairly easy to do. It's just getting the, it just takes time. There is one more little flower that I don't see. Oh, there it is. This one is pink also. So sorry for giving you so many colors this month. I know that makes it a little bit confusing. That's why I thought the 2-part video might be helpful. So once again, I'm just pushing up to that line and then just pulling out. And I usually use my bigger brush for these bigger spaces. When I come down to the little white flowers, I'll use a stiffer or a smaller brush. And I don't worry about the little variations in the wood that kind of shows through. I think it makes it look more natural, more wildflower-ish. Rinse my brush. And let's go the flamingo coral next. So it's your pinkish, the pinkish red. It's like a coral color. Or pink, yeah, I guess it's a pinkish orange more. You mean to hold it? Okay. And get some water out. Right there. I'm just going to drag some paint into it and start stirring it up till I get the consistency that I want. It takes a minute sometimes of stirring it to get that pigment to kind of break down into the water. But you could definitely see when it happens, see the change. Okay, now the coral, I painted the little tulip. I started with the coral color and I came back and did the tips with some white. But I painted the whole flower with the coral color. Hush. The dogs want to get into where the baby is. Okay, so that whole flower, that one is orange, and we'll come back and do the tips. And I painted these cute little flowers, not orange, coral as well. And these are kind of just little fillers. I'm not sure what the names of them are, or if this is even the color they would be. If you get paint down the sides like I did, you can either take a clean wet brush or just take a towel or your baby wipe and kind of, it comes right off. I just got a little bit too much water on there, so it ran down the edge. But it wipes off very easy because the paint's already watered down. I got a little too heavy-handed trying to not have to come make a second coat. I thought, oh, I'll get a little bit more paint on there. But that doesn't work. Sorry my voice is like this. I'm hoping you guys can get it. It's this lingering cold. And I'm trying to fight off my... All right, so we have those now. Somehow I have 2 tulips. Tulip, anything else that color. All right, I'm gonna rinse my brush and I'm gonna get some white paint and we're gonna finish that tulip up. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm sure you can hear her yelling on the video. She throws temper tantrums if she doesn't get her way. She's kind of at that age. She didn't have the terrible 2s. It's kind of the terrible 3s. Now I'm adding a little bit of water to this white, but not a whole lot. Like I said, I have a harder time with the watercolor on this one. Okay, so I'm gonna come over the ends of this real lightly, and I just kind of get that gradient, that varied color. You're not gonna make a perfect line because in nature there wouldn't be a perfect line. Okay. Now I actually want a little bit more orange coral on that, so I'm gonna rinse my brush. I went down a little farther than I wanted to. I'm gonna go back and pick up some more of that coral paint, and I'm gonna kind of just drag it up to it. And that also helps you give you a not straight line, something that looks a little bit more natural. Okay, that one's done. Let's rinse our brush. We'll go back to this flower right here. You're gonna take your King's Gold. So you have 2 yellows. You have a King's Gold yellow and you have a flame yellow. So we're gonna start with the gold color, and that's the one we use a lot of. We use that all the time. Okay. So I have this all painted with the Stolen Kiss. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna make a little bit of yellow watercolor or gold watercolor. Okay. And now I just did kind of down the center here, what would be closest to the center. See that? Mm-hmm. And if you get any on the center, that's okay. We're gonna paint it brown so it won't show so much. And it just goes on these petals because these other petals, that would be like the outside coming in and you just want it to be on the center. Right, coming into the center. Okay. Let's rinse our brush and we'll grab some brown and come in. I usually dry it off after I rinse it because sometimes it still holds on to a little bit of that color. And get some of the burnt umber brown. That's the only brown you have, so don't And of course mine doesn't want to come out. There it goes. All right, so we're gonna make a little watercolor brown, a little bit of water. Sorry, I know this is pretty redundant, but I know some people I thought would want to know exactly how the flowers were done. And so I thought it would be best to do it this way. All right, so now we have some brown on our brush. And actually, you know what? I would use your smaller brush for this. I'm gonna trade brushes out. I wish they were marked. I don't like that. You can kind of see through these caps a little bit. But I'm just getting this one wet. So it's a little bit smaller brush. And I'm gonna come back and get some of the brown. Do the little center part here. And I'm just kind of pushing the paint around. Sometimes I even kind of did like a little stippling just to get the paint in there. It won't show that effect like other things would. And now I'm just gonna let the water set, and some of it'll get darker in some places, lighter in others. You could come back and do a little bit, get the Stolen Kiss a little bit darker if you wanted. I think my original ones were a little darker. It's hard to repeat, just like how nature would be. It's hard to get exactly the same thing every time. But just like in the world, no two flowers are the same. Okay, so there's our flower for that. We'll rinse our brushes. Okay. So we have our gold out. Let's do some of these gold flowers. That's gold in the center. These little flowers are gold. That's, oh, we have one of these that are yellow. And that one's orange. Okay, so let's get our gold paint. And we're gonna start with these little button flowers and just kind of, the centers of these are white, I think I did, yeah. So try to stay off the center as much as you can. They're a really simple, kind of just little filler flower. And you could make these busier or more simple if you didn't want, you know, if you wanted just a few flowers on there, or you can add them all. I made like extras, you have extra flowers, because I wanted everybody to kind of be able to, you know, do their own arrangement. I guess she's done throwing her fit now. She's quiet. She really doesn't like taking naps. So anytime, like, she almost falls asleep and then she starts throwing a fit so that she doesn't fall asleep. All right. The baby takes naps excellently. He didn't in the beginning, but he's doing really good at it now. And he might wake up during the video. He probably will, and I'll have to take him. My mom will grab him and take him to my husband, though. So it shouldn't interrupt us too much. Okay. All right, and we had, I guess I didn't use gold on those. But part of this is gold, so we're gonna, and so we're gonna work up from the base. The tops of the leaves are not, or the tops of the petals are red. In fact, I painted the whole thing to start with. And then I came back and added the other color in. But it's nice if you can do it while they're both wet. I'm gonna rinse my brush and grab some of, I think I need to put some more of that Stolen Kiss. I've got to get some more of this. I really love this color, but it's a color we had mixed, so I can't just go to Walmart or somewhere and buy it. So that makes it a little bit of a struggle of getting it again. I just I haven't made my way to Sherwin-Williams. All right, we watered that down a bit. Now, I left it a little darker this time because I'm covering something up. And I just came through and kind of got the tips of the flowers. And I did come in here and get the ends of the petals, I believe, yeah. So let me turn it around. I came in and got the tops of these as well. At first, I was just going to do the end, and I thought, well, that doesn't make sense because you have petals down in here. They should have red ends as well. All right. Okay. Now, I made this kind of like a little sunflower. So I use the gold. And the center's brown, so you don't have to worry too much about. This should have been green. I didn't come up far enough when I painted it. I'll have to fix that. When the centers are brown, I don't worry too much about going over them because the brown covers this really well. Okay, let me rinse my brush and grab some green and fix that because we'll need this flower in the next video. So. And then we'll grab the brown. Since we already have the colors all out, I'm just going to keep working on it. Okay. Now I'm being real careful, and I still have my smaller brush. Kind of just have the tip in there and moving it with the water and color around. Okay. A lot of it, instead of strokes in this type of painting, is just kind of you're moving the paint and water around. This one just keeps leaking. I must not have it screwed on good. Okay, let's go to this one. Now the center of this one is gold. And then it's a white daisy. Okay, rinse that off. Let's get some white going. Oh, we already have it. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the white. And remember I said I didn't make the white quite as translucent. Might have to make 2 passes. Oops. Shedding there. But it's still the same principle. I'm just kind of moving it around. Now on this one, if it got in between, because the white's a little darker, you could take a toothpick and go run down the score lines if you were worried about it getting in there. I think I might have done that on this flower when I painted it the first time. That's what's been hard, is I've just been having like kind of doing everything in stages. So I've had the stuff made, but then it's like finding the time to schedule the chaos, but we're working on it. So I apologize if it takes me longer than usual to get back to you. I'm not on Facebook as often, but I would still like to keep my little business going. I mean, we need it on top of the fact that it's something I love to do. So it gives me a creative outlet where I wouldn't normally maybe take time to paint, but I will because I need to do it for you guys. I'm not good at the whole self-care thing. Everyone keeps telling me that. Now, just like the others, you can see like kind of the wood grain through it. Okay. Do you have anything else that's white like that? Let's go ahead and do these little white flowers. But you know, I need to get my smaller brush. Because this one. So now this is like a little flat brush. I haven't used that. Well, I guess I did use it, but the round brushes seem to be the easiest to find and the easiest to work with. I guess unless you're painting a big area, but most of the watercolor I've done hasn't been in a big area. I've been trying to learn more about it. So I've taken some classes myself online to learn different techniques to teach you guys. I'm constantly learning. Because or else I would kind of run out of ideas to give you guys. Now, like I said, I think this would be really pretty if you painted it all one color. I would paint it either maybe a dark brown or like the burgundy or like a stolen kiss and brown mixed. I think that would be pretty. I know these I had to come back and do a second coat when I did them the first time. I just couldn't get them as dark as I wanted them to be. And yeah, I guess you really could use these brushes to paint with. I mean, it wouldn't have to be watercolors. You just wouldn't squeeze them. So see how there's different variations and some are darker than others. When you come back into your second coat, you can kind of even that out a little bit. But it's in nature, they wouldn't all be the same. I think I missed that one on the first time through. Okay, let's rinse this brush. We're getting close, you guys. Almost got them. All right, so we have two different fan flowers. One of them I painted with all yellow, and one I did yellow and a little bit of red. Did I use it? I gave them a red, I think. I don't remember. I don't think I put red on my list. I think I used the Stolen Kiss. Okay, so now on this one I used the regular yellow. So it's like a flame yellow, I think it's called, the one you guys have. It was a color match to this one. Try to use up the ends of some of these bottles. I hate throwing them away, but it's hard to get it out to fill something for a customer. All right. And put a little bit of water in it. Okay, so how did on the first one, I actually added a little bit of white to this. So I'm going to come over, I'm going to grab a clean brush to just grab the white out. Just so it's not quite so bright. We just want a little bit lighter yellow. There you go. All right, so this one, I started by painting the whole thing yellow. This lighter yellow that we've made. And remember, because it's watercolor, it won't be as dark as you thought it would be by looking at the paint on the foil, because it's a watered down version of that. So it won't be as dark. Okay, and now the tips on this one are red. So we're going to go in and do this one, which the body of this is the same light color, it's light yellow. And then on this one, I did the tips of it in gold. I don't know what kind of flower this is. Do you know, Mom?
That one I don't know.
A little bit more water. Okay. Now while this one's still wet, I'm going to pick up a little bit of the gold that I have watered down. I'm just going to come in and get the tips. Sometimes I'm almost just touching and picking up, touching and picking up. Because I don't want them to, I don't want to see the stroke. I just want it to kind of fade into the other. And as it dries, that will all change. Okay. And you can, like I said, if you have some in the lines, you can always take a toothpick and go down there and get it out. I didn't think to include that in your guys' kit because I didn't really have much problem with it. Okay, so that one's done. Now this one that I did a little bit of the Stolen Kiss on the tips. So pick up a Stolen Kiss. I did the same. Now this one's smaller, so it's a smaller area that you have to be filling, but just went just like this. And kind of do each petal its own. So you don't want like one big straight line going across. Because every petal kind of would be different. Okay. Oh, I like that one. Let's see what we have left. Okay, so we did the red and yellow. Now we need to do the orange. So let's get our Harvest Orange. And if you wanted this to be lighter, if you didn't like the dark orange, you could mix a little bit of the yellow with it. I can go back to my bigger brush now. I like it better. I don't know why. I use that as much as I can. Okay, so I'm going to water down some of this Harvest Orange. It's funny how the different pigments in the paint mix differently. Okay, so I watered that down. I'm going to paint this whole flower with this, and then I'm going to come right back in with some yellow to do the center, and then some brown. I like this orange because a lot of oranges don't cover well, but the Harvest Orange does. Even in the watercolor, it did pretty good. And then while it was still wet, I came back in with the yellow. Okay, so let me rinse that. And I came in, which I used yellow or gold? I used yellow. And I didn't use the one with the white in it. I used because we're covering up some of the orange, so you want it to show, okay? So then I came in here just like I did the other one, and I just did these center parts that were right kind of next to the center of the petals. Okay, rinse my brush. Let's take the brown and we'll do the center of that one. We'll see how we like it. Because you can always come back and add some more. It's just hard to take away. You could always cover it up with some orange, but here's that one. As it dries, you'll kind of see how it, like I got a little brown over there. In fact, I'm going to take some yellow and kind of fix that. I should have used my smaller brush when I did it. So I had more control. Okay. Here's my brush. Let's get the purple. You know what, really quick, let's go back and do the centers of these. So the centers of these are white and the center of this is brown, since we have those colors out now. Just this tiny little sliver of a center here. You want to use your smaller brush. barely a center, and then these ones are white. Okay. I'd love to see your guys' pictures when you finish these up. Curious to see how everyone's turns out. All right, now we have this like little lavender. Get our purple. I think I used purple pansy, but I think I finished that up on you guys. So I have this one. It's a tad bit different. It's a purple iris is the name of the color. Okay. Let's water it down a bit. The purple pansy is a discontinued color, and I really like it. Okay, so I got it real watery. This one I kind of used a little, I kind of just kind of pushed down and picked up because I kind of got those little round. Almost like just like little drops. So I have a really wet brush.
Like a lilac.
Yeah, like a lilac.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking lavender. Isn't that what we have out in the little, planted in that little thing?
Yeah.
And it doesn't show every little definition because it's watercolor, but it gives kind of a variation in the purple. And I liked that as it dries. And it looks 100 times better after it dries. So if you're getting frustrated with it, let it dry and come back to it. I promise you. You'll like it better once it dries. Get a little bit more water. I always do my water over the foil because every once in a while more water comes out than I want. But in order to leave the little drops, you have to have quite a bit of paint, quite a bit of water on your brush. So this is something really different from what we've been doing, but I hope you guys like it. And for those of you who have the trucks, I will get working on catching you guys up on those. I have a patriotic one in the works. I thought that would be a good one for Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, all those holidays. I can hear the baby in there talking. He's waking up. He'll sit in there and talk in his crib for a minute. We're almost done. He's usually a really happy baby. So thankful that we had such a good relationship with them before all this happened, so they feel secure and safe here. That's helped a lot. All right. So we'll let that one dry. And then if you see any places you don't like, you could always come back and those stems are done. These are done. Let's do our dragonfly. Let's do the dragonfly first real quick before the baby gets up. Okay, so the center of the flower, or the center of the dragonfly, is brown. And then I did 2 of the wings in the basil color and 2 of the wings purple. Oh, I thought I wasn't going to be able to open this one. And the body was brown. I tried to kind of stick away from black on this one. I tried to. Okay, so we'll do these 2. And you can do these whatever color you want. I just thought these colors went together well. And then the top two are purple. Kind of tie in some of your purple flower here. And I really liked these looking like real watercolored, so I used quite a bit of water on mine. Very kind of translucent. Okay. Now, just these couple left. We'll do this little guy here first. I did his, what are they called? So these in a really watered down basil color. So this is like, I don't know how to explain that green to you. It's kind of like a mossy green, I guess, or sage. Let's add some water to it. That's how I did all these. I don't know what this is. It's just a kind of a greenery filler. It's funny because it's like I know the look, like I've seen them before always, you know, what the look that I have in my mind for the wildflowers, but I don't really know that that's how realistic it is. So if you want yours to be more realistic, you could definitely look that up. And it's on my original one, this was a lot more watered down than it is this time. It'll be different every time. All I would have had to do was just add more water to my paint than I did. And the center is brown. You can set it up where they can see, Mom. Just set it up and face me if you want to grab the baby. We're almost done with the flowers, and I'll just hold them up. Okay? Can you see that good?
Yeah. Thanks to your flower.
And you can see it looks like I broke a little piece off right here. What I would do is oh no, I didn't. This just bent over. Okay, so it did crack a little bit. So I would stick a little bit of glue there and hold that up if that happens to you. And then you can have a fixed piece. But if you have any flowers that break and you need replacement pieces, let me know and I can either drop them in the mail to you in a like a padded envelope. Or drop them off if I'm going to be down there. Okay, now see how this one looks kind of splotchy, but I would let it dry. I think it will be just fine. Hi, buddy. Such a happy baby. All right, almost done. These two little pom-pom flowers is what we have left. I painted them both with a Stolen Kiss. This I kind of just used, I made this one darker and used it as a filler, and this one a little bit lighter. I actually mixed some Stolen Kiss and pink together to get that color. I better rinse my brush. I don't want pink in my Stolen Kiss bottle. So I got some more Stolen Kiss. Still a little bit of pink. Water that down a little bit. There we go. Okay, and then we use that for these little pom-pom flowers. Just kind of brush out towards the little edges. And then the stem would be green. I just missed it when we were doing the original, so I'll grab it real quick right now. Okay. All right, just let that sit. There's like a big blob of water on there, and that's okay. Let that dry that way. It gives the best. All right, now this one I did the darker Stolen Kiss. because I mixed that all out. All right. So. Water that down a bit. And you could do a second coat if you needed to, like if you wanted it darker. And I probably would. I'd probably come back after that, after it dried. And it doesn't take long for the water to dry, but I'd probably come back and do a second coat so it was a little bit darker. I use these kind of like as a little bit of a filler. Sorry, I can get all the paint out of that brush. Okay, and then what else do I need to tell you about painting? Oh, I know there is a little strip like, so these little tiny what looks like raindrops, those are just actually not spacers, but they help hold up your different flowers, so they don't need to be painted. Unless you would put it in a place that you think it would see through, you could maybe paint it, but I didn't paint any of them. So in the next video, when we put everything together, I will show you how I use these, but you don't need to worry about painting these. And the extra flowers you have, paint them however you'd like. Use them or don't use them. You know, use them on a future project. If you don't like them on that, that's fine. So, all right, we will be back. Happy crafting.